Today we're going to talk about a short, but wow, incredibly powerful story. It's from a blog post, and the title itself is it's a statement, almost a prayer. May this not happen to you.
You know how sometimes a brief encounter, just a few words from a complete stranger, can stick with you? Well, this whole story is built around that. It asks this one question: how can a stranger's words haunt you for 3 whole years? Let's get into it. So, picture this. The story starts right in the middle of everyday life. We're on a busy street during a pretty typical evening in Pune, a really bustling city in India. Now, the author doesn't just say, the traffic was bad. He calls it a spectacle of tolerance deficit. And I think we could all picture that, right? That feeling of total impatience, where every single driver is just laser-focused on their own path, creating this absolute mess. And what really defines this particular brand of chaos? Two-wheelers, bikes and scooters. With 3 out of every 4 vehicles being one of them, the traffic isn't just heavy, it's completely unpredictable. People are just darting all over the place. This line just perfectly captures what it feels like to be a pedestrian in that kind of environment. You're on edge, you're on high alert, because you literally never know when a bike is going to just swish past menacingly. You could feel that sense of vulnerability just standing on the side of the road. So, in the middle of all this noise, all this motion, the narrator's attention gets pulled towards 2 specific people. Amidst all that chaos, he spots an elderly couple. They're just coming home from a park, and they're standing there, hand in hand, just waiting for a safe moment to cross the street. And you can just feel their frustration, can't you? They see a tiny gap, they take 1 step forward, but then they have to pull back at the last second as another bike just zips by. They're trying and trying, but the sheer pace of the traffic is making this simple act of crossing the road feel almost impossible.
So, seeing this struggle, our narrator is moved to do something. And this is where the story shifts from just watching to actually doing something.
And here's the thing. What he does isn't some grand, heroic act. It's so simple. He just walks over, asks if they need a hand, raises his own hand to the traffic, and helps guide them across. It's just a small, decent, human gesture. Okay, so once they're safely on the other side, the elderly man, he gently squeezes the narrator's palm, he looks right at him, and he says something totally unexpected. He says, "May this not happen to you, friend."
Just let that sink in for a moment. Not thank you, not God bless you, but something way more profound.
And it's those words, not the act of kindness, that become the real heart of this story. What happened on the street was over in a minute, but what happened in the narrator's mind, that lasts for years. 3 years. The narrator writes that even after 3 years have gone by, those words still echo. They literally haunting. And this, right here, is the central mystery of the whole story. Why? Why did the man say that? What did he actually mean with that strange, kind of somber phrase? So the narrator really puzzles over this for years, and he eventually lands on a few really powerful possibilities. So the first thought that comes to mind is, was he thinking about his own family? Was this a quiet comment on the fact that his own kids weren't there to help him? A reflection on loneliness, or maybe feeling left behind?
Or maybe it was something deeper, a more general kind of disenchantment with the world itself, a comment on how society just seems to lose its patience, its care for the elderly, leaving them to fend for themselves in a world that's just moving way too fast.
And here's the final theory, and honestly, it's maybe the most unsettling one. Was it a kind of warning? A quiet prophecy that this state of being vulnerable, of needing a stranger's help just to do a basic daily task, is a future that might be waiting for many of us as we get older?
And this is where the story leaves us. It starts with something so simple, a street crossing, but it ends with this huge, enormous question. It forces us to look past all the traffic and the noise and to ask ourselves, in a world that prizes speed and independence, what is our fundamental responsibility to one another? What do we owe each other?